Suggesting an idea when you're new to a team can be a little bit intimidating because even though you're curious, you don't exactly have the authority to put yourself out there, and you maybe don't understand all the dynamics of the influence and the power. But today we're going to cover 8 rules you can follow to make that as painless as possible. Let's hop right in. So the first rule is to vet your ideas through someone who's more experienced. Oftentimes, we come up with an idea or we're curious about something or something confuses us and we think we know the fix right away. But there's a lot of context that you could be missing, especially when you're new to a team. So it's good to pull someone aside and get someone's time who's been around the block before and run that idea by them. Pose it as a question and wonder why something is done a certain way, because they can fill in the gaps about, we do this because of X or we do this because of Y. And this is really important because otherwise you may be stepping on toes or working your way through the dynamics in a way that is a little more disruptive than you mean to. However, be careful because people who have been around for a while are a little more likely to protect the status quo. They may defend it and their answer may not be that convincing, but it's a good place to start with any new idea. The second rule is to develop a clear ROI, a return on investment. And this isn't always just money. It can also be time or stress or even an opportunity cost. If we were to do this, how much time could we get back? If we were to do this, how much money could we get back? It doesn't always have to be money. For example, you may automate a task that takes you 20 minutes a week. 20 minutes a week is over an hour a month, and that hour is not only not being spent on the previous thing, it's an hour you can use in another area, so there's a benefit there. But when you're presenting that new idea, make sure you elaborate on what that ROI is to make it a little clear that there's a little bit of thought given into this solution. The third rule to follow is to frame your new ideas as questions. No one likes to be told what they're doing is bad or wrong or confusing. No one likes to be told how they should be doing something. Instead, people like discussions, people like dialogue. And this serves not only to make that recipient of your idea a little more comfortable with talking about it, it helps you to work your way through some of the shortcomings that you see in that particular solution. So pose it as a question. Don't just be direct and say, this is bad and we should do it differently. Instead, present it in your curiosity, because it's honestly the best way to approach any subject that's like that. The fourth rule is to sell the benefits, not the features. You never see a gym advertising how many pieces of equipment it has or how many personal trainers they offer. They're always selling how much weight you could lose or how convenient it is for you to work out at any time or how easy it is to just get started without knowing anything. Those are the benefits. Those are the things that people want. No one actually cares about a certain piece of technology. For example, they're always looking for what that technology will do for them. It'll help them be more efficient or sell better or know their customers more intimately. So when you're presenting this idea, don't just think about the clockwork that goes into it. Think about the finished time that you'll receive by doing it. The fifth rule is prepare a pilot case. And what this means is when you have this grand idea that could be potentially disruptive, think about how you could start as small as possible with that to experiment and test it. People are a lot more willing to try small things out and let it fail if it's not going to impact a bunch of stuff. But that pilot could be a really good place to test run your idea as well. And the more clear of a pilot case you have, the more easy it is for people to say yes. When you bring someone into an idea, instead of having them brainstorm how you can possibly get started with it, if you already have that in place or you've already thought that through, that gives a lot more credence to your idea and a lot more likelihood that you can get it off the ground. The sixth rule is to present for your specific audience. So if your great idea is just for something that your team does, it's a lot easier to present that casually in a discussion like we talked about, or questions to your peers during some sort of meeting. But if your idea gets a little traction or the right audience is someone that's a little higher up in the leadership chain, then you need to formalize your approach a little bit more and maybe think about doing something visual or running some actual numbers or a report or even a PowerPoint or some sort of presentation. It depends on who's receiving your message and how they need to work through it. With your peers, it's a little more casual and you can just kind of talk through things, but leaders typically expect something a little more formalized, something a little more that they can just bite off on and not have to get necessarily into the nitty-gritty. And going back to the previous point, they want to see the benefits, not the features, so don't worry about the clockwork with them. Rule number 7 is you have to champion your idea. So prepare to be the champion for your idea. It's kind of like your career. You have to take it into your own hands and no one's going to care about it as much as you do. So ideas are the same way. If you present something, You have to see that thing through all the way to the end. Very rarely are you gonna find people who will fight for it as hard as you. So don't get started with something unless you're willing to see it through until success, adoption, or failure in some cases. So prepare to do that. And that means following up with the people you're talking to, making sure it's clear, working on the sales pitch, preparing the documents, writing the numbers, getting the ROI, all of that. It's on your shoulders. I'm not saying you can't build a team to get around that, but typically when you are the origin of an idea, it's on you to make sure that that idea gets to fruition. So the 8th and final rule is to prepare for objections. It's easy for people to critique an idea, and as soon as that leaves their mouth, in their mind, a lot of people will say, it wasn't that good of an idea because I thought of an objection right away. But if you can think about what those things will be before you say anything, you can actually build it into your sales pitch. And by presenting the objections in your idea, in your initial pitch, that actually disarms people who are critics, and it makes you come off a lot smarter, and it makes you actually think about your idea a little deeper than just the surface level of it, because you're thinking through the things that you might not have known about or that might be valid objections and how you can get around that. So if any of this was interesting or valuable, consider giving me a like, subscribe if you want to. That's all I have. Thank you so much for watching this video. Here's another video you may want to check out if you'd like to do this step. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.